Dobrý den, уважаемые коллеги. Ciao Shan Hao, Chinaide Tong Shimen. This is Professor Franco Claudio Grossi, and I would like to propose the following methodology. Learning a language by immersion in a virtual reality. Premise. Around 7,140 known living languages have been counted in the world, of which the majority are not even codified in written form. From a point of view of the relational and working advantages of those who speak several languages, there is no need to pause, given their clear evidence. For children, bilingualism has beneficial effect on their cognitive development. For the elderly, the benefit derives from continuous mental gymnastics, which is stimulated by switching from one language to another, increasing their neuroplasticity or brain plasticity, which is implemented through new neuronic interconnections. A foreign language should be learned as soon as possible, possibly in preschool age, and this through an immersive methodology, as happens in the learning of the mother tongue. In other words, the little learner should be immersed in the context of a place where that specific language is spoken, in which the child can experience that environment in an empathic way and appreciating all the sounds, tones, idioms, as well as the uses and customs relating to that foreign language. The same should happen for young and old, who should interrelate as much as possible with the people who speak that language as their mother tongue. The new technologies of hybrid education. Currently, the largest global players in communication and ICT propose innovation in teaching, learning methodologies, assisted by the new ICT technologies, and this also from the point of view of the interior design of the classrooms. This by structuring an intelligent classroom, which is networked with other locations, with students who learn at a distance with external realities. All this is made possible using a remote interactive network system, thus allowing the sharing of teaching resources between different study rooms, different academic campuses, and different regional realities. The goal is to design an intelligent type of teaching capable of responding to those needs of effectiveness, efficiency, and pleasure, which are also typical of ergonomics design, and which will make teaching easier and more usable. The innovative teaching classrooms, always in the key of smart and hybrid education, and to provide an interactive space for educational activities through the combination of physical space and digital space, and combination of local and remote. In this case, a contamination is established between tangible physical space and immaterial digital space, proposing the representation of didactic contents through different intelligent devices, which help to facilitate learning and favor the sharing of contents and group interaction of a classroom. All this is implemented using large interactive touch screens and devices for virtual reality and augmented reality. Types of virtual reality. Virtual reality refers to the generation of a virtual environment that creates a realistic experience, but does not exist in reality. Ergonomics comes into play here, whose task is to study the interaction between man, what man realizes, and the surrounding environment, then conceiving appropriate interfaces oriented towards man. These interfaces have also become the subject of specific international standards, ISO, EN, etc. From the point of view of virtual reality, we can classify the main current technologies as non-immersive, semi-immersive, and immersive. There are also other types such as augmented reality, collaborative virtual reality, etc. A non-immersive virtual reality is about a virtual experience through a computer, with which it is possible to master some charters of activities, but nevertheless it is not possible to interact with surrounding environment. A semi-immersive virtual reality is a blend of non-immersive and fully immersive virtual reality. This often consists of a large concave screen, a projection system, and a monitor, or a virtual reality headset box, which is capable of allowing the experience of a 3D space of a virtual environment in which you can move. In this picture, you can see the ergonomics lab of which I was academic director when I was teaching at the University of Trieste in Italy. A completely immersive virtual reality, in the other hand, provides a completely immersive virtual technology and guarantees a total experience with a virtual world. In other words, an incarnation with a technology support of helmets, gloves and body connectors, utilizing sensor for all 5 senses. Language education by immersion with virtual reality. In the introduction, I highlighted the fact that the best strategy for learning a language is to immerse yourself in the environment in which this idiom is used. This is evident from the personal experience of students who use a foreign language to travel and communicate, and are therefore actively involved in the authentic use of a specific language. However, since travel costs are not always sustainable, the idea is to use virtual reality equipment in which this immersion can be implemented at low cost. The speculation on virtual reality, undertaken in the 20th century, initially evoked fantastic words and was the object of attention, especially from writers, directors, and artists. During the third millennium, the sense of this technology has instead consolidated and leads us to a more scientific epistemological position, which arises from the consideration of how the perception of a virtual environment is acquired by the mind through the interface of the extended body. In the perspective of these external-internal passages, this subject implements the so-called embodiment, that is, he uses the technological artifacts to increase his possibilities of action in the virtual environment, also summarizing the spatial perception with the psychomotor action in this specific area. From full immersion virtual reality, we are completely transported to a virtual place that seems indistinguishable from reality. It is like something out of science fiction novels. Furthermore, with virtual reality, the model of learning changes, which from symbolic reconstructive mediated by writing, the press and old media, returns to being of a perceptive-motor type, borrowing its approach for ethology and developmental psychology in an anthropocentric visual. The virtual environment, which becomes transparent to the cognitive system, is perceived thanks to a continuous mapping, which merges with the interactivity favored by the affordances of technological artifacts. One final note concerns the use of chatbots. A chatbot, audio and video, is a bot or a robot designed to converse with humans. In other words, Chatbots are computer programs created to simulate human conversation on virtual reality, messaging app, or virtual assistants. In its simplest form, chatbots can be programmed to answer specific and frequently asked questions, providing an easy way to interact with students. Here, then, that with the contribution of virtual reality that allows immersive education, language learning becomes alive, since the interaction is implemented, albeit in a virtual mode, both with native interlocutors and with the environment of that place. Human communication, understood in its broadest sense as sharing of knowledge by means of a coded symbolic interaction, today takes on a new value, thanks to the virtual reality, which allows the expansion of our extended senses in the global McLuhanian village. In particular, the learning of a foreign language could be carried out by immersion without having to physically transfer to a place where this language is used, and this through an embodiment facilitated by new technologies for information and communication. The learner will thus be able to interrelate with the natives, avatars, through audio and video chatbots integrated in the semi-immersive or immersive virtual reality system. Большое спасибо. Все.